What is going on, my friends, and welcome back to another video here on the channel. Well, we just actually got some pretty damn good whale news that I think is worth noting and something that you should at least be paying attention to. So we're going to take a look at exactly what is happening with the whales. Then towards the end of the video, I'll tell you a couple of the things I'm doing and some of the different areas that I'm investing. And so with that said, let's not waste any more time at all, and let's get straight into the video. So looking at blog.coinshares.com, we can see here that they just released this morning of course, the Digital Asset Fund Flows Weekly Report. Now, this is something I look at every week because I like to know what the whales do. You guys know I believe the whales are lizard people who control the world, and I believe that it's important to at least monitor what they have going on. So what we can see here is that this is the first week in 5 weeks that we did get some positive inflows. What this means is that from the whales, more people invested than people sold. Okay, so more people bought than sold, therefore it's a positive inflow. Had it been the opposite, it'd be an outflow. Okay, so looking at this thing, what we can see here is that let's break it down first by the provider, so the whale themselves, right? The Grayscale, iShares, Fidelity, etc. Then we'll go a little bit more into exactly what they're buying. So Grayscale Investments, negative 171 on the weekly. Of course, that's $171 million worth of outflows. We, of course, did see a little bit of positive inflows coming from them maybe last week or a week before that. I don't really remember. My days get mixed up now. And I told you, I said, listen, I wouldn't be buying this Grayscale bullshit. I'm sure they're going to go back to selling. I think that this is fake news. Not fake news, right? I think they actually did it, right? They actually had some type of gullible client who bought through them. But I think for the most part, most people are going to continue to sell from them. So I wouldn't be, going too crazy about this. And now they're back selling $171 million within the week. So that's just something to pay attention to. Okay. iShares, 48 million. Fidelity, 111 million. 21 shares. Interesting, 1 million. So the positive on the weekly, because they were negative for the most part for a while. As you can see, their negative year to date is 108. CoinShares still a little bit negative over the week, month, and year, so nothing crazy there. ARK21 coming in clutch, 83 weekly inflows with a 2.2 on, of course, the year to date. Very interesting. And then, of course, other bringing in 94, and that's, of course, spread out across a lot of different entities. So Fidelity actually carrying the load here at $111 million worth of weekly inflows, with iShares in third place this week. iShares in third place this week behind both Fidelity and behind ARK21 shares. Just goes to show that, although iShares was carrying the weight in the very beginning, we still do have some other, kind of feasible or maybe viable options in Fidelity and in ARK21. So that's really good to see. I like to see it kind of diversified out a little bit. So it's awesome to see them continuing to maintain that momentum and continue that buying pressure, outpacing Grayscale with their sell pressure. Okay. Now looking at exactly what it is that they have been buying or selling, we can see here Bitcoin going in, doing well. Love to see it. Bitcoin looking at a $144 million weekly inflow from the whales. I think that's fantastic. It is substantially outperforming any of the rest. And so I think that whenever you see something like that fast happen, where on the week you have more inflows than your month to date outflows in a red month, I think it just goes, or almost more, right? I think it's important to notice. And I think that goes to show that maybe this is a decent time to be accumulating. The whales know something and they really buying in this little zone that we were talking about. Okay. And so because of that, I definitely think that it's a good idea to start accumulating a little bit of Bitcoin, even if its price does continue downwards. When the whales flip that fast, I think it's a good idea. Ethereum is still on the down and down. Not looking too damn good, honestly. Year to date still negative, month to date still negative, week to date still negative. So overall rough week for Ethereum. Ethereum's definitely one that I've been investing into a bit like the least throughout this bull run, and it's just not really performing that well. I do think Ethereum is inevitably going to get a strong break to the upside out of this thing, but we're just not there yet, seemingly. And the whales don't seem all too interested. Solana, killing it, man. 5.9 million weeklies, 6.2. That flipped the monthly, to the heavier bullish. I think before that week we're at like somewhere around like 1.3 or something like that. I can't really remember. And yeah, so a 5.9 million weekly inflow, not bad, especially considering I know we did see some sales from some of the whales at some given point. We saw the buy pressure kind of get the sell pressure get countered by that buy pressure as we are trying to hold this floor here. So that's beautiful. Love to see that. Binance barely negative, not a big deal. Litecoin barely. Short Bitcoin, interestingly, picking up a little bit more momentum on the week, but not really enough to be worth noting. And then, of course, these others not doing anything. So you can clearly see here that Solana is the clear choice of the whales right now. It's clearly the one that they're wanting at this given point, and so that is noticeable, but it's not even remotely close in comparison to what's happening with Bitcoin. And I think that's worth mentioning, is that we're still in the phase where Bitcoin is leading the charge, if that makes sense. And so because of that, I definitely wouldn't be doing too much outside of Bitcoin in terms of where I'm focusing the majority of my investments. Okay, so that's kind of what the whales are doing. Speaking of my investments, let's kind of shift a little bit now into what some of the things that I'm personally investing into are and kind of how I'm going about it. So the primary, what I did mostly invest in was Bitcoin. I think like 65 or 67% of my total capital invested over the last about week was into Bitcoin. But let's kind of start bottom to top. Let's start with some of the meme coin plays, some of the degen shit. Let's kind of then move it up to like the top 20, top 15, and then we'll move it up to like the top 10. Okay, so let's just start from the bottom. Keep in mind, the bottom ones, the first ones are by far the most risky things, but they're the most fun things, and they're what I've been enjoying while the market's been rather boring. For the last few months. Okay, so the first one that I invested in was a company called Alan the Alien. This is a company that my company is going to be helping and kind of joining and working with them a little bit in terms from a marketing perspective. You guys know that I run an influencer marketing agency, and so I do help provide influencers and stuff for marketing campaigns and things like that. And whenever I did look into this one, I really liked it. Now, this is actually from the team behind Cookie Sale and Cody, or the creators behind Cookie Sale and the team behind Cody. They have a history of being able to send tokens, especially during bullish phases, 5, 10, 20 million. And of course, because of that, knowing that they are now taking a bit of a meme approach, I think they were able to send utility coins of 5, 10, 20 mil. I think that they could send a meme coin even further. And so because of that, it was an obvious choice. They did see that initial launch hype right here. This was back in the beginning of April, and now it has cooled down a bit, and it's finally seemingly found a floor. And this is generally around when I like to enter. And so because of that, I was like, you know what? I think that this does make sense. I think it's about time. I like to get past this first little wave. If I can't get in before it launches, I want to get in after this. I want to just get past that initial hype. Once volume slows down, once momentum slows down, because then now we're in a spot where we can start going. And this thing's only at a $592,000 market cap. And so because of that, I think it's a pretty damn easy choice. They still have 2.8 thousand followers on Twitter, so they're still rather small, but they are getting a ton of engagement, especially for the community size that they have. And so because of that, I think it's kind of just a perfect little mixture of a crypto that can do well. And so because of that, we are going to be working with them, doing some stuff, getting them influencers. I'll be talking about them a lot on the channel. I did buy a pretty sizable bag of this one, honestly. So I'm very happy with that. I think it was a good purchase. And so, yeah, we're going to continue to update you as times do go forward with that. So stay tuned for that. On top of that, I also dropped a thread over on Twitter about a week ago on Pingu. Pingu's one that we've talked about a lot on the channel here. It's one that's not even remotely new. We've talked about it pretty consistently and kind of just talked about the momentum that it's had, and it's really started to gauge and garner some attention from a lot bigger guys within the space. Like, we're actually starting to see some of your heavy meme coin guys get into this thing, and because of that, looking at the price here, I haven't checked it over the last few days, so I'm quite curious to see what we're looking at. Let's go out here. Yeah, you can see it. That's why, it's really been doing extremely well. It has just kind of chugged along, tanked along, continued upwards. And although it's been somewhat flat, right, for the last 2 weeks or so roughly, it's really just been gaining a lot of momentum. And the fact that it's able to kind of maintain this pace, maintain this uptrend, maintain that pace that it has, I genuinely think that this could be one that continues upwards. And at a 1.3 million market cap, it still hasn't really had that kaboom moment yet. And so because of that, that's the reason why I dropped a thread on this thing over on Twitter. What was that, on May 6th? And since then, of course, we have been seeing some pretty sizable gains, right? We have been seeing things looking pretty damn good. That was back down here. Boom. And so since then, looking pretty good. Price is doing well. And so because of that, I did add a little bit more to my bag. I did not mean to do that. I did add a little bit more to my bag on Pingu here. Although it's probably, I bought in pretty lower, pretty sizably lower than we are right now. I thought that it would make a lot more sense to just add a little bit more, because at 1.3 million, it could still do a 4 or 5x pretty easily. Okay. So yeah, added a little bit more Pingu to my bag. Now that so those are the only 2 meme coins I can think that I bought. Guys, I post all of this on Twitter, by the way. Like, all the stuff that I'm doing, I typically will post on Twitter. Let's go into, before we continue up to the least risky meme coins, let's go into that protocol. So you guys know, one thing that I was doing, I made a video about this not too long ago. I had invested into something called Baked Beans. Now, I know they had a little bit of stuff going on in the community. Honestly, don't know what happened. I didn't pay attention to it. You guys know I just kind of just throw money and shit and just leave it alone and see what happens. And that's what I did here. So I was looking at this one, and it's honestly not done too bad. So what you can see here is that this is the one that I had bought a little bit of. I think I bought 0.4 BNB worth of the beans, right? And that was around 72 beans. And what you can see here is that now, since then, I can rebake 45 beans. So I'm actually going to go ahead and do that real quick. I can go in and rebake 45 of these beans, which is pretty cool. I haven't done this before, so I'm not super in tune with what to do. Let's go here and let's just see what happens. So now that I have the beans to rebake, I would assume that my total bean count is going to go up here. So give me a second, I'll come back to you. Oh, well, never mind. There it goes. So now you can see. So, okay, boom. So what happened was that I had spent 0.4 BNB and I got like 70 beans. And then now, since I think it's been like 4 or 5 days, I've now gotten 45 more beans and I rebaked those beans and now I have 117 beans, which is pretty damn cool. And so now because of that, although my rewards have gone away, because I kind of restaked those tokens basically is what happens, now the amount of rewards that I'm going to receive is going to continue to get bigger and bigger. Now at some given point I will eat the beans, and when you eat beans that means that you take your profits. I will do that eventually, but right now, I mean, I know it's dropped a good bit. Like I think it's dropped by like half. The contract still does hold 1,200 BNB, and so because of that, I mean, I think personally that it is still like it still seems pretty healthy. I don't really think it's like a cause of panic quite yet, although they can fall rather quickly. I'm not really that concerned because I didn't put that much money in. Okay, and so because of that, yes, yeah, we're just gonna. I guess I'll just keep doing it. And probably the next 2 or 3 days, I'll update you guys and just see if we have more beans. If I want to eat them, if I want to bake them, I'll kind of just keep you updated there. But I mean, overall, not bad. Not bad. I'm pretty happy with that. Not 100% sure how much 117 beans is, but I do like the fact that it is like growing and it's showing that it's working. You guys know I've told you this is very risky to do, and it's not where I put the majority of my money at all. But I have fun doing it. Okay, so leave me alone. Okay. Yeah. So let's just I'll update you guys on baked beans in a couple days. Then that works. Okay. Let's go into what's next. So I did and so after that, okay, so I had bought obviously some Pingu. I bought a little bit of Alien to Alien. I just obviously reinvested and restaked my baked beans. Now, going up into the bigger things, this is where the majority of my money went, like 90%. I did do a little bit of buying on HBAR. I bought a little bit of Jasmy. I bought a shit ton of Bitcoin. And it's not like I'm going out and longing Bitcoin or whatever. I'm quite simply just buying more Bitcoin, like on my daily dollar cost average. But in these moments, I mean, the amount of accumulation that I'm doing is just pretty heavy. And so because of that, I'm just buying a lot of Bitcoin these days. And then I also bought a little bit more just this morning as well. But I will post a Bitcoin update video talking about what's happening with Bitcoin specifically either later today or tomorrow morning. So I bought a little bit more Bitcoin. So I really only bought HBAR, Jasmy, Bitcoin back then. And then I bought more Bitcoin here as well. And as I mentioned before, I literally post this all over on Twitter. Okay. And so because of that, that's about it. That's all I'm doing really. You know, a couple meme coins, a couple degen plays, mostly buying Bitcoin and buying a couple of my smaller alts, right? Like my HBARs, my Jasmys. I might have bought a little Solana. I just can't remember if I did or not. But overall, keeping it simple, keeping it easy, nothing too crazy going on here on my side. And so with that in mind, guys, I will continue to update you on what the whales are doing, on what I'm doing, what the lizard people are doing, and much more. Of course, I have a couple videos dropping today. I have a Solana video coming out. I probably am going to make a Jasmy video, and then I might make a microcap video, a meme coin video. If there's any meme coins you want me to check out, put it down in the comments below, but I'll obviously keep you guys updated. So with that in mind, if you do enjoy the content, you can always let me know by smashing the like button on the channel, and of course subscribing to the channel if you are new. But with that in mind, guys, I will see you all later in the next video. Peace out, everybody.